Have you ever wanted to be in better shape or get healthier or maybe perhaps lose some weight? Do you think you need to do all this strict dieting or, eating all this junk you don't want to eat to begin with? And then, what if it doesn't last? Okay, maybe you achieve your goal. It wasn't fun. You push through it, but it goes away. That's not fun, is it? I am super excited to have Dr. Todd Cevene here, and he's going to be sharing with us not only how you can lose weight, but in a fashion that it lasts and more from a metabolic standpoint than just all this fad stuff. He's a pioneer in his industry, and we have him right here today on the show. I'm going to bring him up right after we thank our sponsor, Dr. Todd Cevene. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Todd Cevene. Dr. Todd, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. I want to dive right into this because I think so many people want to be healthier, want to lose weight, all types of things. But why do you think it doesn't work for most people, and how are we going to help them fix it?
I think after seeing patient after patient after patient, day in and day out, the biggest mistake people make is just they're not following the science behind it. I think their best efforts are being applied, but there's little distinctions in the science that changes, and you can put forth a lot of effort and not get a result.
What do you think is a misconception about dieting or weight loss that too many people are buying into that just flat out isn't true?
That you need to exercise.
Oh, you
I
can
think it's
you
a
can
big
lose
one.
weight without exercising?
Yeah, you can lose fat. More importantly, lose fat without exercising. Absolutely.
Tell me more about this. This
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah, so what people don't realize, we see a lot of people that are exercising, and if you like to exercise and you want to because you enjoy it, that's fantastic, and we would encourage that. But if whether you don't have time or your schedule or kids or spouse or work or whatever it may be, you just simply don't like it. It's what you eat and the food you're choosing to eat, and the combination of those foods yields a result with metabolic hormones to lose fat, not necessarily exercise. So exercise spikes something called insulin factor, and insulin turns off weight loss. So it actually hurts you more than it helps you as far as fat loss goes.
Oh, interesting. Now, what
Yeah, it's
does
very
work? What is working out good for? Because I know there's a lot of good benefits to it, also.
well, it makes you fit. Pardon me, it'll make you fit. So if you're working out, and again, for those people that are listening right now that are upset saying, well, that's not true. I've been working out and I've lost 10 or 20 pounds and this guy's crazy. I didn't say you wouldn't lose weight. What's happening is you're burning more calories than you're taking in. And that's just math. You can sit at home in your underpants and drink wine and not eat as much and still lose the same amount of weight
And have
without working
Cheetos.
out. Yeah, Cheetos as well. Yeah, so it's that's not the same thing. So working out is going to make you fit. It's not going to make you thin. So if you think about this just as a guy, right? If I've never been on a beach with another guy and saw somebody who looks great in a swimming suit and had him ask me, how fast do you think they can run? That doesn't seem to happen very often, right? So it's really just look good naked is what you need, not how fast you run or how many jumping jacks you can do.
So the working out is going to give you the better physique, but you may not, or you're going to have stronger muscles. You're saying?
Well, it might. So a lot of times people will say, I want to look fit. But if you think about it again, to look fit, for that to happen, you have to remove the fat that's on the muscle.
Sure.
So let's say if you have a big belly, you can do 1,000 sit-ups a week, and it doesn't mean that you're going to have abs. You might have really strong abdominal muscles and a strong core, but that doesn't mean that you're going to look good in a swimming suit. So that they're not the same thing. They don't necessarily align.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So
Yeah,
walk me
people don't
through.
think about that.
So I say this from time to time, not always. I don't know what I say all the time. I just talk, but walk. I would say walk me through this, but maybe in your case, run.
Sure, sure, sure. So we we utilize for weight loss anyway, like lipotropic drops. and it's a drop that's a combination of amino acids in a very specific formula that you take them, you put them under your tongue, and they absorb sublingually. You got to get them from a healthcare provider. It's not something you could buy over the counter on Amazon. It's got to be a healthcare provider. So when you take these, what they do is they lower your sugar levels, and when
Mm.
your blood sugar levels are stable or they're flatlined, that then indirectly influences your insulin levels. And as insulin comes down, that turns off appetite, so you're not as hungry, and your body metabolically will raise hormones like adenopectin and leptin, and metabolically you'll burn more fat than you do sugar. So you'll start losing inches and sometimes faster than weight. But really what we want is people losing fat, visceral fat, body fat. We don't really care quite as much about weight.
Because weight's going to be fluctuated. You might be 98% muscle, or I don't even know if that's like physiologically. You might be
Yeah,
very
that'd be a
lean like
lot.
a huh?
That would be a lot. Yeah.
You might be lean like a racehorse or an Olympian or something, and you could weigh more than someone that's 35-40% body fat, right?
Yeah, you could have two people that wear the exact same size clothes or two women wearing the same size clothes, but due to muscle density, they wear the same size, same designer, but they might be 10 pounds apart, which is a clothing size. So,
Oh,
yeah,
is that how
muscle's
it
heavy,
works?
muscle weighs more than fat. Yeah, typically muscle weighs more than fat. So, what you really want to do is you want to lose inches of fat, and then that gives you, a better appearance or smaller clothing size. But what you weigh really isn't that important. It's a metric, but it's not near as important as several other metrics are.
What are the other
It's just
metrics that are more important?
Well, body fat's going to be one. Visceral fat, your muscle mass is going to be more important. Those I think are more important than just weight. So weight's a factor, but it's not. It's definitely not the only factor. The most important one. I think it's just probably the most common factor that people have as a reference.
I see. What are your thoughts on the BMI?
Um, Gosh, if memory serves me, I think that's something we man was out of. I can't remember recall where it was. Maybe for high school kids or something from like 1968 or it's a very old chart. So BMIs are okay, and the standard is you want to be 25 or below for BMI. But again, I'm a 54-year-old male, and I'm about 193 pounds, only 14% body fat, and my BMI is about 27 and a half. So technically, I'm obese according to that scale, but at 14.5% body fat, I don't think you'd say that really.
I remember
So
when I did it, and even recently, and I've been in the obese category for a while too. I'm like, really? You know,
yeah, yeah.
so do you think there's a lot of people out there that have this outdated, outmoded information like the BMI that might be good for one thing, but the other nine, it's not checking the box for present day or our current understanding and what's changed and grown and we've found out the I mean even the last 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I think again, going by BMI is a metric, but it's not the only metric. And weight's a metric, but it's not the only metric. So there's a lot of information out there, and I think the challenge for people is most information is accurate, but it's taken out of context. So again, just speaking as a doctor, when patients come in and they say, "I looked up on Google or WebMD, and I've got this condition, and here's what I found, or here's what I know to be true," and they're right, but there are so many different variables that change, that distinction and how it's applied that matters. So, an example is almonds are healthy, right? We know that's a healthy fat. Olive oil is a healthy fat. But a better question is, do you need to eat them and how much, for what your goals are? That's different than saying I'm going to eat almonds because they burn fat or it's a healthy fat, right? If you don't need them and you don't need to pump more fat in because you're trying to pump fat out, eating handfuls of almonds is not a great idea.
I like that. My thing's cashews.
Yeah, I
But
love cashews too.
but
Yeah.
to the point of okay, cool, you're eating avocado, let's say, or cashews or almonds instead of chips. Cool. But how do you question for you, how do you know if you need them or not? Like just cuz you're eating the almonds and all these extra things, maybe you don't need to eat them. How do you differentiate and decide on that?
Just for general people, as a rule of thumb, if you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to actively lose fat, probably the less fat you eat, the better you're going to be. So you'll still get, I mean, just eating just chicken and 97% lean beef or,
Mhm.
things like that, there's still fat in those foods. So don't get me wrong, you have to have fat and you have to have healthy fat. But for, I think, what, 74% of the population that's overweight, there's probably enough fat on their body for a little while to start to cut fat out. right? And if you're going to have fat, then have a bottle of wine or a pitcher of margaritas and a box of donuts or a pizza, dance in a bar, and give me a great story. But don't eat handfuls of almonds.
Or what about a salmon reduction garlic butter sauce with beurre blanc on it?
Yeah, that was even better. Yeah, a little bit of wine on the side there, and sure, but it's still fat, right? So
Sure.
it's like the equivalent of saying my car needs gas to run. Well, it doesn't matter what gas station it goes to, if it's Exxon or Mobil or Shell or whatever it is. Your car doesn't get mad because the gas station it needs gas. Period.
I gotcha. Do you think there's a misconception about the foods that people are eating and the processedness and just all that? Because I see a lot of, I mean, I have been going through this. I'm always looking to be healthier, okay? First and
Sure.
foremost,
Yeah.
but going on 10, 12, 15 years, it started with almond milk. Okay, this is better for you than this. Okay, cool. And then I remember after a few years, I was like, I'm eating, I gave up pop in high school, so I'm happy about that. But I was still eating junk food. I mean, this Cheeto reference wasn't out of the blue. They're delicious.
Sure. Oh
But
yeah.
I started switching over, and then it was like I realized there was this like second wave of people going, well, you can't have anything in a bag like spices to make chili like I did the other night. And it was with lean turkey, just for the record. But
Yeah.
I know people
Sure.
that'll wig out because of the half an ounce of flour that they mix in with it. They're like, that's horrible for you. I go, do you have any idea what I was eating before? Like,
Oh yeah.
where do you draw the line
Yeah.
of going, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I'm not driving myself nuts with all this?
No, I mean everybody's got their thing, right? So you can always find wrong in everything. And I think if you're really going to be crazy, then you start to look at the soil our food supply is grown in and how nutritious is everything. So, I think it was at 1950, a woman could eat a peach and it was most of the vitamins and nutrients that she needed while pregnant. And now I think you got to eat like 300 peaches to get the same amount of nutrients with the soil. So you have to find a balance. And at the end of the day, everybody's got their thing, right? So, you got to do what's best for you, but you want to strike a balance. And it's pretty easy to go really crazy with everything that's out there. So, what's important is to find something that works for you that's sustainable, is really important. And what's important as well, I think, is if you're trying to lose weight or lose fat, you should see a reduction in measurement or inches and body fat or weight every week or 2 weeks at the most, every single week to 2 weeks. And if you're not seeing that, then it's time to admit that whatever process you're doing is not working for you.
Okay. Is there a
Yes.
specific weight or a specific amount of it should is it an inch a week or 2 pounds a week or
We typically get over 90 days. I think an average. We pulled an average of a few hundred people, and I want to say it was, oh gosh, 32 pounds and 20 something inches over 90 days is what the average person loses when you're
wow.
eating the right foods. And it shouldn't be a diet. So you don't have to count calories. You shouldn't be hungry. It's very simple. The rule of thumb is if you're hungry, eat. There's a reason you're hungry. So if you're hungry, eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Again, I'm old. I don't want to walk around my house at 8 o'clock at night starving because I need to lose weight. Nobody wants to live that way. So if you're hungry, you got to eat. Very
What about
straightforward.
sustainability? Is there a point where after you said 90 days, 34 pounds?
32 pounds if
32
memory
pounds.
serves me. 30 or 32 pounds is what it was, I believe.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
What
it's pretty
happens
common.
after the 90 days to like 90 to 180? Do you change something up to so that it sustains or can you eat what you want at that point?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you should have at least, a meal or two a week where you're eating whatever you want, regardless of how bad it is, just for sanity and, not jumping off the ledge, I think is important. Um, you want to continue to reduce your weight or stick to the program, utilizing the drops and just healthy eating. You want to always eat healthy for clarity, but until you either look the way you want to look or hit your desired BMI or your desired weight. So depending on where your starting point is, if you're 300 pounds, that's different than if you're 200 or 100, right? So some people only want to lose 10 or 15 pounds, other people 50 pounds or on up. So you continue to drop, and when you're the size you want to be, you add back in about 100 to 200 calories. On top of that, a week for about typically 3 weeks is pretty reasonable. So let's say if you're eating just pulling math out of my ear here, 1,000 calories a day. You'd go to next week, you'd go to 1,100 calories a day. The week after that, 12 to 1300. The week after that, 13 to 1500 calories a day. And you'll bounce up a little bit, but it's reasonable to maintain that then for the next 50 years.
Oh,
From a calorie standpoint, it's definitely not as easy as calorie in, calorie out, or take away this many calories to lose. So there's some truth to some of that, but the metabolic hormones play a much bigger role. So what you really want to strive for with each patient or person is something that's sustainable for them. So if I take you, everybody's the same. When you go to the grocery store, you hit the same aisles, you buy the same foods, healthy or unhealthy. That's just what makes up Mario, right? That's you. You go to the same restaurants. When you go to those restaurants, you're getting one to three or four different entrees. You're getting one to two different appetizers that you eat at that restaurant, and that's everybody. Nobody tries Ethiopian Monday, Indian Tuesday, Thai on Wednesday. Nobody does that. You eat the same stuff all the time. You just change the rotation of the order, right? So find foods that you can sustain and you like, because you're always going to be you. You're always going to eat. So as long as I can wrap that around what your goals are, we're home and all the weight will stay off really easy.
wow. That was a
Does
little
that make sense?
yeah, it does. That was a little surreal here, and I'm like, I just had a birthday. Yup, yup. I just cooked chili. Yup.
So
Mexican.
how often do you make chili? You like chili? How often do you make chili?
I probably eat it 3 to 5 times a week.
Yes, I mean that's not bad, but that's you, right? So if
Yeah.
you said that to me, I'd say, okay, we're going to find a way. Let's make sure you're losing weight eating chili because that's you. So if I say no more chili, it's not that you can't follow it. You can follow anything, but there's going to come a day where you say,
This
"The
is
heck with it, screw
stupid.
it. I'm eating chili. Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore." Or I look great, I'm eating chili, and then you're going to blow up if it's not the right way. So as long as we find a way to win with you being you, the one thing you can count on is people aren't going to change. Right there. That's what makes them
Yeah.
them, good, bad, or crazy. So if I find a way to win with you being you, right, then we're home because you got to eat. You're always going to be you.
Yeah, seafood's the other one. Seafood,
Yeah.
Italian, Mexican, Mediterranean.
Yeah. You can't say eat this, don't eat that to people because everybody's going to say, well, I don't like that. I don't like this, that. Well, then eat what you like. So it's just go to the grocery store, buy food you like, and eat it. It's really straightforward. There's a few things we stay away from, like peas, corn, or carrots, or like pineapples, bananas, some things like that, because they'll spike insulin a little quicker.
Yeah, so much
And if
sugar in them.
insulin goes up quicker, yeah, then it makes it harder to lose weight. So if you're going to spike insulin or knock yourself out of fat burning, again, I'd rather do it with a pitcher of margaritas and a box of donuts instead of a bag of carrots, right? Or don't run a marathon and do it. Yeah, I mean, have some fun and give me a great story.
I like your attitude around this. Say the metabolic word again, your expert word. You said metabolic profile or the
The
metabolic.
metabolic process, yeah, the metabolic
You've
process.
mentioned
So
it a few times. I want to dive deeper into the science. What is the, you said the insulin doesn't trigger, the insulin, no, the metabolic thing has more of a role than the 50-year part where you're going, whether you eat this or this, it has more to do with the
oh
metabolic.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So all the studies coming out of like the National Institute for Health, which is kind of where that say lead the nation in metabolic labs or doctors on metabolic studies and that type of stuff. So it's very complex. But if you were to just simplify it, just to that everybody can understand and keep it easy, there's a group of hormones that run your body or your metabolism that decide if you're going to burn fat or store sugar or store fat or what's happening in that process. So when people say are eating keto, that type
Mm-hmm.
of dietary guideline, that's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's just if it's not sustainable, then you shouldn't start down that road because you'll blow back up when you stop it, right? So you need something sustainable. So if you're eating healthier foods that we're talking about now, which is just, again, there's only like maybe 10 things you want to stay away from, 10, 12 things. If you're limiting those and you're eating lean proteins, vegetables, fruits, those types of things, right? And you don't, again, working out's not necessary. You'll be controlling your blood sugar and controlling your insulin. And hormones like leptin, adenopectin will go up.
Mm.
And those hormones will help make you feel satiated or full. They'll help you burn fat. And your sugar levels will go down. You'll start to reverse an insulin resistance. And your hormones will be reset over time. So typically 10 to 12 weeks is what a lot of the research shows. So they're not like brand new like you're 18. They become more efficient. So
Sure.
if you started to train now, Mario, for a marathon, you start running, right? Your heart doesn't get bigger like your biceps would if you're working out. It becomes more efficient, right? you pump the same amount of volume on less beats. So those hormones become more efficient and more receptive to insulin and those hormones. So it doesn't work as hard to burn fat. And next thing you know, you're not eating quite as much. And you're eating better foods because you feel better, you look better, you like how you feel, so you want it, which is very different than having to eat it for a diet or for a program.
It becomes
Does that make
part of
sense?
you instead of just this thing you're doing for a
Yeah,
month or two.
yeah, exactly. So using you in that example of chili, if you love chili and I find a way for you to eat chili 5 days a week and lose weight, that's pretty solid, right? Because you're being you, you're eating what you love and you're eating it because you like it. It's who you are. That's not going to change. So if we find a way to modify that, again, you can spice it, season it any way you want. That's not the same thing as losing fat, right? So technically, I could put abs on you eating deli meat, and you might be full of nitrates and bless you, need blood pressure
Excuse
meds,
me.
but you might look fantastic.
Yeah.
So they can align, but they don't have to.
If you got someone in shape eating salami, that would be interesting. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People always laugh
as
at
good
it.
as Genoa is,
Yeah,
I'm not sure every day eating a pound of that is
no,
advised.
it's probably not a great idea. No, people are
Uh,
confused on peanut butter a lot. They think peanut butter is really good for them,
is
and
it?
that always surprises me. Well, it's all fat. It's fat and sugar, so it's kind of like just another version of a donut. You could probably put a sprinkle of protein powder on a donut and have the same thing. So
Are
it's
we
everything.
talking Bavarian cream or is this like a cherry one?
Oh yeah, Bavarian cream is. I love Bavarian cream. Yeah, but if you took a Bavarian cream, it's sugar and fat, right? So you sprinkle a little protein powder on it, and now you got an equivalent of peanut butter. If you think about it.
I never thought about. I always thought peanut butter was healthier, especially if it's organic. But can you imagine someone taking protein powder, shooting it in with the custard, and marketing it as like a health food?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's not that it's not healthy, right? But it when you break it down, it's all sugar and fat.
That's why it
There's a
tastes good.
little
But
bit of protein. Yeah, that's why it's so great. That's why anything that sugar and fats usually tastes pretty good. Yeah.
what does So it was metabolic hormone. That's what you were saying. How
Metabolic hormones, those are important.
how does it affect your ADP?
Your adenophosphatase, are you talking about?
I'm ATP. I'm sorry.
Or ATP. So how do metabolic hormones affect? That's ATP is typically like used to describe that's the gas that runs a powerhouse or the mitochondria in a cell and is what that typically is. So that's probably fits into Krebs cycle in a whole different type of conversation. Those don't typically collide in the same sentence, I guess, if you're talking about weight loss and
Okay,
metabolism.
fair
I mean, we can
enough.
touch base on that, but it's kind of like testosterone or estrogen with weight loss. I mean, they can play a role, but they don't typically collide in the same sentences as metabolic
It sounds
hormones.
like you don't really need to worry about that stuff the same way. What's that muscle? Like selenium or uh, beta carotene, and there's that one
Yeah, those
gym
are
thing for building muscles. It starts with
creatinine you're
creatine.
talking about. Yeah, creatine, which then increases ATP and sugar in the cell to give you more energy with ATP, and that you'll bring in more water and glycogen. So the muscle gets larger, houses more weight, so you're heavier on a scale. And then if you're stronger, you can lift more weight. And then if you're eating right, you would theoretically build more muscle.
So that's more for bodybuilding, not so much just straight up losing fat.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that at all to lose weight. No, no, I wouldn't take that at all to lose weight. It's not a bad supplement. It's probably one of the only bodybuilding supplements that's a good one to take, but that's a very different way to go. So you can lose weight bodybuilding and doing that. That's just a very different way that, the average person sitting around is not going to be doing.
Um, I got to ask you about CLA.
Yeah, yep. CLA.
Is it useful? Some people say you don't need it, just eat better. Other people say I swear by it. I've lost 20 pounds with it. Does it help or is it just another thing?
Yeah, it depends on what they're doing and how they've modified a program using that particular product. I'm not. I shouldn't say I'm cheap, but I'm cheap. I'm not really big on having to buy all kinds of supplements or external things. So if you can, it's not that it's bad. You should or shouldn't use it. It's still external fat. So you can get fat all kinds of ways, but I don't think that you need to spend money supplementing with it.
Sounds good to me. That's twice now. I've heard from experts. Save your money, put it into better food.
Yeah, that's what I would definitely do that. I wouldn't spend money on that. I think maybe just a multivitamin or an electrolyte might be the only things that people, for the most part, really should consider spending money on.
Okay.
It's not that supplements are bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, always a time and a place for them in functional medicine, but for the average person to spend a bunch of money on different supplements for weight loss, I don't think is necessary.
Okay, so I want to take this into the age group. How did, if you're talking about someone in their 25 to 35 versus 45 to 60, and then let's say seniors 75 to 90, I know those are all different body things. Someone might have health complications, someone might not. How do you figure out what's best for them? Because the older person might actually need to put on weight, or the younger person might need to lose some weight. But I know ultimately it's not about the weight, it's about the body composition.
Yeah, so putting on weight would be different. We don't see as many people that want to put on weight. Most Americans don't have trouble putting on weight. So, putting on weight, you would increase your protein, your carbs, and your fat. And you'd eat more is what you do. Losing
Sounds like
weight is
fun, but
different.
I don't want the weight.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're 20, 30, 50, or 80, the metabolic hormones function the same way. So once you understand the science behind it, and then you can apply the science to each person or to people, it becomes just shockingly easy. It's really surprisingly easy to do. So the nice thing is, since we're all people, right? A heartbeat, two eyes, marching forward. Our bodies are the same. The hormones are the same. They're affected by the same thing. So age really doesn't come into play.
Nice.
Yeah, it might move a little slower. So if you're, 80 now, your busiest day is probably slower than your slowest day when you were 30, right? So there might be less muscle, so there might be less calories burned or those types of things. And the metabolic demand isn't as much because you're not as active and you're not doing quite as much, but they're also not eating as much food as they were when they were younger. Or things come into play like women, if they're menopausal, it's really common to hear women say, I used to be able to take weight off, and everything that you did when you were in your 30s or maybe early 40s that worked, all of a sudden when you're in your later 40s or 50s, you're doing the same thing and it's always worked, but it's just not working now. And what can happen is as estrogen levels in the body start to deplete, the body will store fat faster to raise those estrogen or estradiol levels. So they store fat a little quicker in that menopausal age. And it can just be really frustrating. So again, it's just a slight distinction. So you just adapt and modify to that.
That's interesting. So it's really coming down to your body's chemistry more than you're running 10 miles a day or not running at all or
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We have women come in the office, and some of these women are in fantastic shape. Some of these women actually run farther than I drive to get to work a day. It's crazy. Some of these women are running 10 miles a day. They're just in fantastic shape, and they just cannot get to the size they want to be. But it's because they're running every day or several days a week. They're on treadmills or running outside, or they're eating a chicken salad with avocado, and they're using vinaigrette and oil. And again, they're pumping fat in, and they're spiking insulin, and their body's not in a state metabolically to lose weight. So when you slow them down, you slow the heart rate down. There's a particular heart rate to burn fat, and then past that, you become in better shape, not thinner.
ooh, what is the heart rate?
It's different for each age. So there's charts that we share with patients or providers doing the program. Or I'm sure you can probably just look online and just for a fat burning heart rate. But as a rule of thumb, if you're 40 to 45 years of age, you can probably stick 115 is probably your threshold beats per minute,
Oh, okay.
and
Lower
then
than I
every year
thought.
it
I was
drops a
going to
bit.
guess 120 to 130.
It might be probably 120 might be closer to somebody that's in their 30s. Maybe it's going to be higher if you're younger. Lower as we age, it drops a beat a year, I think, if memory serves me. So you don't want a high heart rate because that will make you fit. That's not bad, but fit doesn't mean thin,
Mm.
right? So I could show you a swimsuit model. It's a man or woman. They look amazing, but it doesn't mean they're in shape. It just means they look good. A
You
guy
like
like me was
swimsuit
paid to
models?
teach him what to eat. Yeah, everybody likes that, right? So yeah. So again, it doesn't mean
So
the
I'm
same
hearing
thing.
another good thing about aging here. You're saying you actually, the older you get, the lower your heart rate can be, and you're still in the fat burning zone.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So your body, what happens is it's with and without oxygen. So if there's not enough oxygen, your body starts to burn sugars or fats depending on where your heart's beating. So you want a lower threshold to burn fat,
That's
but it's
fantastic.
not, yeah, it's not necessary to lose inches in fat quickly. You don't have to exercise to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, I had when I was younger, I could pretty much eat whatever I wanted because my metabolism was so high. I was always thin, and then that changed in my 20s
Yeah.
and noticed it in my 30s also. And I
Yeah.
when I was younger, I tried to get in like muscular, and it was so hard to do because it was like I basically, from what I was told, sounded like I was going to have to eat 3, 4, 5,000 calories a day, and just to keep the bulk on because I was burning through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I used to box and you would eat 4,000 calories a day and it was, you just felt sick from eating so much. It was awful, but that's putting on weight and muscle and cardio. And that's a different result or different outcome. So with weight loss, you just typically, you're eating just a few meals a day. People are eating almost a pound of food when they're eating. So it's a fair amount of food. It's not what you think, but it's definitely not snacking all through the day. It's not what you want to do. That's kind of an older mindset.
Why do you why do you think so many people do eat so much? Do you think it's a societal thing or a TV
Yeah,
ads type of thing pushing it, and then when you're out, oh, I'm just with friends, I'll just have a drink and a burger or snacks or apps or whatever, and before you know it, you're consuming two 250, 350,
it's
400 calories a day. I'm sorry.
it's higher. Yeah, it's high. I think just probably mindsets in our country, right? If one restaurant, let's say a restaurant serves pasta, and you can buy what's a box of pasta, right? Like 98 cents for a box of pasta, and it's
Well,
supposed to feed
before
four
inflation,
people,
now it's
right?
like $1.10.
Yeah, not $1.10. So say even as high as $2, and you go to have the pasta made, you have a pasta dinner somewhere. If you got a serving of pasta and they're serving, with inflation, overhead, and all that, that stuff coming into play, they've got to give you more food to make you feel like there's a value for charging you $20 for a plate of pasta, right? And when you're looking at the pasta going, this costs 85 cents at Walmart. Why am I paying $22 for pasta with
Yeah,
nothing but marinara sauce on it? This is crazy.
it better have
So
some
they
shrimp or
they give
steak
you
on it.
more, and yeah, they give you more. But then as they give you more, if you're hungry, the tendency is just to eat because it's in front of you, and we're kind of lost about what you need versus what you're given. And I think all restaurants then have to compete with one another, so they just start increasing the portion size to be competitive, right?
Okay,
So if you
so
look at fast food chains, it's almost the same for everywhere. They got fries, a drink, and a sandwich, and they're all kind of doing the same thing to be competitive with one another. But if one restaurant just sold you a burger for the same price, everybody'd stop going.
yeah,
So I
now
think
it's
they've
buy
got to
one
do that
get
to be
one,
competitive.
or a famous ad I see all the time: get the chicken sandwich, buy one normal, and get one for $1. Well, now you're
Yeah,
eating
if you
two of them.
notice, yeah, if you go to like a Michelin restaurant or to a really high end restaurant, you don't get a lot of food. You get smaller portions, and you don't
And
get
the
a lot of food.
quality's
And when you're
better.
done, you think, yeah, you think, geez, this plate, there's like four things on it. There's like three bites here, but just when you're done, you feel satisfied. You're not overstuffed. You're full. You can still walk around and do the things. You feel good, and it's just kind of the right amount. But that's definitely different than going to like a franchise restaurant where there's just this big plate of food in front of you,
Do you
right?
think that's because it's higher quality and there's more nutrients in it?
I think probably just the planning, the food, and I don't know if there's maybe more nutrients. I think probably just the planning, the food, and that skill level of the chef. It's a different atmosphere, right? So you're charged more because you're expecting to have a truly catered type dish as opposed to vegetables coming in a bag with butter that somebody's just reheating in a kitchen or not to knock those
It's shake
franchises,
and
but
bake,
again,
and I helped.
yeah, not to say they're bad. Everybody loves them. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think that's just kind of the environment that we've thrown into, and that's what we're used to now. And you just go and eat it, right? And over time, when you're eating those bad foods, the hormones in your body become a little desensitized, and they're not as efficient. And you develop that again, metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance, which means you're again just the hormones aren't as efficient. So, like you said, when you're younger, your metabolism was better and it wasn't really better, it was more efficient, is what's actually happening. So as
Hmm.
you age, you're probably not in as good a shape as you were when you were younger because you ran around a lot more.
Yeah.
right? But that's really cardiac function and efficiency is really what's happened. It's not that you can't get it back right away. It starts to leave you because you're not using it. So as those hormones, metabolic hormones, become less efficient in our bodies, then the fat storing hormones become higher, and the hormones to burn fat can't bind to those cells quite as easily. And that's kind of the process that happens as we age. So when you're eating the right things and just applying that science, that's really easy to reverse. And it doesn't take very long. You're losing inches in weight every week. It's exciting and it's fun. And then you have an aha moment where you realize this isn't that hard. I'm eating chili 5 nights a week and my waist is down a few inches. And yeah, right now you realize I can do this for 20 years. This isn't a big deal.
Yeah, I think I've been doing about 5 or 6 already. Um, but it's really fascinating how all this works. And like you said, that's just math. It really does. It's just an equation, isn't it?
It is. It's just chemistry and science. So the science part or the math part is what you're eating. The foods that you're eating are very important, and the amount of those foods are important. And then that equals the direct relationship with which hormones are going up or down for the desired result. But there's no hope or luck associated with this at all. This is like gravity. Just if you jump off your roof, I don't need for you to believe what I'm saying. And it doesn't matter who you pray to or what you think, you're smacking the ground, right? So this is the exact same thing. When it's applied the right way, there's results weekly. It's easy. You don't miss. There's no hope or try.
Yeah, and I'm sure someone coming in to see you would rather do it for you to help them instead of they jumped off the roof.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So we teach them along the way because in a very short amount of time, they realize that they really don't need you. This isn't hard. As soon as they realize that, then they're where they need to be.
It's fantastic. So, do you just get them started with the thing they take, or is that something they always have to take?
No, they definitely don't have to always take it. I'm a big advocate of, not being dependent upon having to take or do anything, of just, being empowered and knowing what to do
You're
yourself.
just helping them jumpstart
And
it.
yeah, exactly. But if you can take two clothing sizes off of somebody in 2 months, you build a lot of faith and a lot of trust right away. That's exciting.
Yeah,
And then
you're
they
changing their
don't want to
lives.
do, yeah, you don't want to do anything wrong or bad or crazy because you can't believe how easy it is and how fast it's going. So you don't want to muck it up. Is what typically happens. But there's a balance too. So again, if people say drink alcohol, we don't want to make that wrong. I mean, again, if that's who they are and they drink alcohol and they're doing that socially, then we got to find a way to lose weight with you drinking alcohol. We don't want to make it wrong because it's who you are.
Yeah,
So you got to continue to do those things. If you don't want to work out, then don't work out. That's fine too.
I love this. I have never heard anyone in my life say, I can help you lose weight and not work out.
Oh, absolutely. It makes sense though, I hope, right? So it's the science behind it. So picture like you and I are driving somewhere together. We can go 80 miles an hour, we can go 40. We're going to get there either way, just one way's a lot faster.
Yeah.
So, if I make you the captain and I'm the navigator, just directing the traffic through that, you tell me how strict you want to be and what you need in your life to make you happy and something you can stick to where it doesn't feel like you're dieting, we're home. The
Are
minute
we
you
on
feel
I
like you're
94
dieting,
and there's some room?
there we go. There's a lot of room. Yeah. But the minute you feel like you're dieting, you get that psychological squeeze, right? And that's a mayday. Then now we're going down in flames.
So now, so it's just as much mindset too.
It is. Well, it's mindset, but it's not like, having it rain outside and saying, go make lemonade with lemons. I mean, it's still lemons. So you've got to be able to feel like you're winning and not feel like you're giving up things. So it's maybe taking steps lateral.
I got
So
you.
here's an example. Like we'll tell patients, if you're out on a date night, I don't want you to manage something that's bad. So if you want dessert, I don't want you to have a small piece of dessert or half a cheesecake, to use your example, or not half a cheesecake, but half a slice of cheesecake. I don't want you to have half of one because it's still going to raise your insulin and your blood sugar. So once you've raised it, it's already up.
So it's
So we
not
might as
one
well have a
ounce, two
bottle of
ounce,
water.
or 5 ounce. It's you ate it. It's
Oh,
up already.
eat the whole cake. Yeah, just wreck it, man. Give me a great story tomorrow. But yeah,
Sold.
don't have like a yeah, there you go. Don't have a tiny piece to justify it. Eat whatever the hell you want. Tomorrow's a new day. And if the biggest problem you have is you eat a little too much cheesecake, you're doing better than most people. That's not a bad problem. But my point is, then we do better tomorrow, right? It's just a day. It's the kind of think of good is good enough. So if you're losing inches, you're losing weight, then eat the cheesecake. It's fine.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
Let's.
it doesn't have to be hard.
I like that you're making it where anyone can do it, and there's not this shame or punishment like like so much of it is.
Yeah,
I think that's what a lot of it is, and why people either it doesn't work, it doesn't last, or they don't do it to begin with.
exactly. It's a bit psychological. So when you can arrange it in a way where people are winning, they're home, right? It's just finding a way for them to win on their terms. And for some people, that's, we have people losing 9, 10, 13, I think 13 pounds is the record a week. That's a lot of weight to lose in a week. And we have other people losing a pound and a half a week, which isn't near as exciting, but they're eating desserts 3 nights a week. They're having wine or
Sure.
alcohol 3 nights a week, and they can't believe they're doing what they're doing and still losing weight. They're just astonished. But
And
if
that's
they're
the other thing.
happy,
I could argue a pound and a half a week. Like you said, they might be 200 trying to get to 185 versus 300 getting to 220.
yeah, people will say, well, I can't lose 5 pounds a week. That's not healthy. Well, healthy in reference to what? If you need to lose 200 pounds, 5 pounds a week is not that much weight,
Yeah.
right? If you're 120 pounds and need to go down to 115, 5 pounds is a lot.
And how
So,
does that work
it's,
with the body mass composition where if someone is like if you say someone's 35% fat, body fat,
uh-huh.
okay? On 300 pounds, that's going to be nearly 100 versus 200 pounds, which is only 60. So
Yeah.
when someone's losing the fat or that weight, is it easier for heavier people to lose it quick, like larger amounts quicker because it's the same proportion?
It may be, oddly enough, no. So sometimes, but not all the time. So what you usually see, from my experience anyway, and again, we ran over 75,000 people through this
Wow.
over the last couple of years.
Good
So
for
that's,
you.
I mean, when you run that many people, you see patterns, right? Even as a doctor, if you're a knucklehead, you see patterns of what works and what doesn't work. So what we typically find is if you've done a lot of dieting in the past, or keto or starvation or every program out there, you still get results, but the results will come slower because your body's learned and it's prepared. So your body is not necessarily on the same team you are. So your goal might be to lose weight in inches, and you cut back on your foods too fast or the wrong way. Your the unconscious mind that regulates that doesn't know if you fell in a well or what's happening to you.
Yeah.
It has no idea that you're trying to look good in a swimming suit to go to Mexico, right? So they're kind of opposing forces. So there's a way that you do it where the body has check systems, and it's always checking to make sure the organs in those systems are safe, and just green lights across the board. So as long as you're getting green lights across the board, the body's check systems are safe, you'll drop very quickly. If you get a yellow light in some of those systems, and then
Mm.
it starts to slow down. So an example might be if you get constipated. Constipation always really slows weight loss or just stops in its tracks, no matter what you're doing. I can throw you in a well and not feed you. And if you're constipated, weight loss is going to go slow. So you see liver enzymes typically go up because the body's not releasing toxins. And if you're not
Okay.
getting enough water, or you're not having bowel movements to get those toxins out, the body will start to slow down and turn off fat metabolism to keep those liver enzymes in check. But as soon as you fix that problem, you'll take off like a bullet again, and away we go.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's just knowing the science.
I love it. I could talk to you for hours about this. Who's your biggest success story?
Oh man, I think we have a couple people that have lost, gosh, 100, 125 pounds in as little as 6 or 7 months, which is a lot of weight. They were really heavy. They need to lose quite a bit of weight, and it's exciting to see them. In fact, I got a text message from somebody in another state that said that today was a 3-year anniversary, and she lost 30 pounds, which wasn't a ton to lose, and she has 25 off of the 30 3 years later. That's, I mean, to me, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody's walking in and they're saying, "Hey, I think I got this," it doesn't matter if it's 5 pounds or 100. That's a life changed.
Yeah,
And if
because
you
they may
think
have been
about
trying
it,
for 10 years to achieve that and they never did, and now you're
yeah.
helping them.
So if you're empowered, you can't gain 10 pounds without gaining 5 pounds first, and something clicking in your mind going, "Okay, I got to go back to what I learned or what I know, and what do we need to do here?" So we always take those patients back in. If you just need a quick phone call, just a touch up to say, "Okay, do this, check this, remember this." And once we know that genetic makeup for you or what that is for you, it doesn't really change. It'll be the same for the next 20 years.
Interesting.
Does that make sense? So
It
your
does.
body either, yeah, likes more carbs or more fat or like to work out or run and that's some of those are genetic traits. They're not going to change. So once we dial into that, we're home. And we can run genetic testing and find that out, but I can usually find out within about 2 weeks anyway, just by talking to you and looking at what you're doing.
I love it. See, I
Yeah. So
I love when you can empower with the data or the information, like you in your case, the science, because there's so much out there. Like, for example, even last night, I've heard both sides of the aisle going, you shouldn't get bagged cheese that's shredded because you need to wash it because of the crap they put on it. And then other people going, and there's all these influencers and health people and this, that, the other thing. And then the video right next to it says, this is why that's crap, basically. And it goes, here's
yeah,
some block shredded cheese, no bag, no nothing. And look what happens when you wash it. It still comes off. You know why? Because that's the way. Where,
yeah.
yeah, this adds some powder so it doesn't cake. But I mean, it's like, what do you listen to?
So what if you do all that and you have a cheese insensitivity or dairy insensitivity or an
There you go.
intolerance, and when you eat dairy, you have inflammation in your body that hurts all kinds of other things. It doesn't matter if you watch cheese or what you do because you shouldn't be eating it anyway, right? So it's different for everybody's the point. So and again, you'll watch those arguments, and then both people go home and you know have a glass of scotch or wine after they just got done fussing about the right way to eat cheese.
Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, everybody in the planet is doing whatever they justify as unhealthy or incorrect, and it's okay because of blank. Does that make sense? It's
Oh, I had a
you can
long
go
day. I
crazy at the end. I
deserve
mean,
it. You don't know what I've been through.
yeah. So again, patients will say, "Should I stop smoking?" Well, as a doctor, sure, but I can put abs on you. You can smoke 2 packs a day if you want, but that doesn't have anything to do with you losing fat. That's a different
That's
issue, right?
hilarious.
So does it make sense? But people don't realize that. So you get all those different debates, and it depends on what your goals are. So at the end of the day, it's just people do the best they can with what they have, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad
how
you're
much
there to
time
help
a day
them.
do you have to do this?
It's why I always advise people getting experts. Like they come to us to publish their business book, and you should have someone like you for health, because I think in every industry there's just so much out there now, and now people can do articles and YouTube videos on it, and it's like both of them make compelling arguments, but like you said, what if you're not supposed to be eating it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah. What if you have an intolerance to it and nobody checked it? Then it really doesn't
100%.
matter what you do to it, does it?
No, not at all. All right. Well, I got the wheel of whatever here. Yellow or black?
Yellow.
Okay. One of my two favorite colors. Um, so you mentioned the wine. You mentioned a good steak, but I got to know, what are some of your other like foods that are probably not the greatest that you enjoy also?
We that you shouldn't eat. I mean, as far as fat loss,
Yeah, like just guilty
are you
pleasure
asking?
foods. Like,
Oh, I'll eat anything that won't eat me. Yeah, I'm probably bad to that. So I can't think of anything that I won't eat. I'll eat anything. Um, but food you'd want to stay away from if you're trying to lose fat would be peas, corn, carrots, bananas, pineapples, grapes are going to spike those insulins. And pasta is not going to be a great one. Again, that's kind of the equivalent of cold donuts, right?
oh, come
With
on,
what
pasta's
pasta will
so
do to
good though.
you.
You know I'm Italian, right?
I know. You know what you could do? What always makes me giggle is I always hear people say, I'm Italian, I got a lot of pasta, but you ask them if you've been to Rome or Tuscany or different parts of Italy, they have no idea how Italians really eat or what they're doing. It always kind of tickles me. But it's not that pasta is bad, but most people don't eat plain pasta. They like it with marinara and meatballs or different things on it. So
And cheese,
if you
mozzarella.
use yeah, if you use a different type of noodle like hearts of palm noodle or zoodle, you still have all the same stuff on it. It's most of the time you can't tell. It's just something squishy in your mouth that's holding all the sauce,
Oh.
right?
Yeah, if you're
But
if
just
you're
people don't
loading it
think
with
of
all
it.
the toppings and then throw some parmesan on top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You may not know the difference anyway. So is it, you have to decide you try that. And if you spit it out, say, this is gross. This is, then it's gross. Don't then spit it out and eat it once a week, right? But maybe not every single night.
And
Rice is one that surprises people. Rice is, that's going to raise insulin for sure. So I probably try to do a veggie rice or limit it, the amount of intake of it.
quinoa.
Quinoa is okay. That's fine. Yeah. Oatmeal is a surprising one for people again. Oatmeal's going to spike insulin. And there's breads you can do. Bread's okay, but you want to find a bread that where they don't bleach the flour, so the fiber content's higher, and you won't see quite as big of an insulin spike.
Oh,
So I mean, I wouldn't go to a fast food chain and eat like a bowl of broccoli and cheese soup in a bread bowl, right? But there is bread that you can eat that's
you're
not going to
naming
spike
all the
insulin.
stuff I like. That the bread bowls are
Yeah,
great. That high school band competitions, chili in a bread bowl.
there you go. Now, if you make the bread bowl using the flour that's not bleached with a higher fiber content, that's fine. Then that's a different distinction, right?
Okay,
But if the
so
bread's made right and it tastes good, you really can't tell the difference.
mhm.
It's really not that different.
Tell me real quick about the bleaching. Like, is this bleaching like Clorox the flour, or like what is it?
No, yeah. Well, again, I'm not a chef and I'm not a bread maker, but there are brands where the fiber content is much higher,
Mm-hmm.
and when the fiber's content is much higher, the simple carbohydrates will be lower, and you're not going to see the sugar and the insulin spikes with those.
Oh,
Like
so
there's a brand
it's the
called
simple carbs that are spiking it, not the fiber.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep, exactly. Like there's a brand called Mission that's a flour tortilla, and they've got a lower carbohydrate one, but
Yeah,
it's got a lot of fiber in it. So those, I mean, that's fine to eat those as a wrap or with any type of like a taco or fajita. Those that's fine.
that's actually what I have in the fridge right now.
Yeah. So if somebody says, "I suppose I can't have flour tortillas," that's not true. You can. That's just we just got to pick a different brand.
Okay.
So most of the time, the label on the bag isn't near as important as what's in the bag, and people are eating. So it's just finding in that example, finding something that's lateral to it that's a good trade that they can have that yields the result they want now with weight loss, but they really don't feel like they're sacrificing.
I appreciate you excuse me. I appreciate you sharing that with us because I think for me mentally, when I go, I'm going to start eating healthier, it was one thing, but then it's like, cool, I want to do it. This is going to be fun. I'm going to be healthier, but again, there's 58,000, you go down the bread aisle of anywhere, it's like, which one of these
Sure.
are good for you? And apparently, Mission.
Yeah, Mission ones. There's a one called Healthy Choice, I think is the brand name
Yeah.
that's in any grocery store. That's a good brandy that's not going to go too crazy on your system
Ezekiel
if you want.
bread.
Ezekiel's good enough. Again, somebody might argue and say, well, that's not bread. It's you got to keep it in the refrigerator. It's bean sprouts. It's not soft and squishy like bread would be. And so, I mean, it's a great thing to eat. Sure, that's definitely better than just like say
Wonder.
Wonder Bread. Yeah, I don't know if I was probably not supposed to throw the brand out there per se,
Oh,
but
it's okay. I said it
yeah, but
first.
then
It's my
like
fault.
yeah, yeah. Again, I don't know if we get in trouble for saying that, but again, should you have them all the time? No, but there's issues again. Like a lot of people think they're sensitive to gluten now, and it's a lot less common to see people that have gluten issues. You see a lot of people have issues with wheat or flour or yeast is really common, which is in the breads, and it's not necessarily gluten. Or it
Oh,
could be corn, since a lot of our foods, they're modified now, and a lot of bread, the flour to make the bread, I believe, has a lot of corn in it,
it could be
and in the flour
sensitivity to
from it.
that.
Yeah, so if you might have a corn sensitivity, and a lot of that's in the flour you're eating nowadays, it could be corn, and you don't realize it. You think it's gluten. It just nobody's tested you to tell you.
Wow, interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate
again,
everything you've
yeah,
shared.
but I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say, so people say I want to eat healthy, but then you've got to think healthy in reference to what?
Yeah, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Because healthy to me might mean I'm eating one hot dog a week versus six, or maybe I'm not eating it at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Or the person that says all organic or all grass fed here, this is healthy, and somebody like me will come and say, well, it is, but here's 10 things to consider that eliminates half of it.
Yeah,
So in reference to what was your goal or outcome?
so much great information. We're going to thank our sponsor and come back for the imperfect action round. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. And we are back with the imperfect action round. Are you ready to take imperfect action?
Sure. What are we doing? Imperfect action?
Yep. Three quick questions for you, 60-second or less response. First one, what is the fastest path to the cash?
Fastest path to cash?
Yeah.
Strategic planning and hard work.
Okay. Number two, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
That I see prospects making for us and fix it is not finding an expert in doing what they do.
Okay. And number three, from another business standpoint, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
Relationships.
I love it.
I don't know if those are good or bad answers. Just first it pops in my
No,
head.
those are your answers. Those are the truth, and I agree with the relationships all day long, 100%.
Yeah.
Where would you like people to learn more?
Secret for Weight Loss or Dr. Todd Cevene. I think drtoddsevene.com is a website. Secret for Weight Loss. You could look that up as well.
Okay.
And there's lots of information on there for people that would like help.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dr. Todd, for
Yeah,
everything you've
yes,
been
sir.
sharing with
Thanks
us.
for
It's
ha-
been great.
thanks for having me.
All right, Expert Authority World, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.